Joint practice, training camp,
cool.
joint practice takeaways.
And so this is the thing. It's like watching a joint practice and trying to take in everything. It's the old what I say to you, Sean, all the time. You try to watch everything, you end up watching nothing at all.
Yeah.
The starting defense and the starting offense are both out on the field at the same time.
Yep.
And it's almost like watching two movies at the same time.
It is.
And then immediately after being like, here's how everything went. We're like, why did Michael Corleone do that? I don't know. It's because office. I don't. It had something to do with that.
Is he watching A Few Good Men while watching The Godfather?
So afterwards, I try to, a lot of good people, both fans and the media, do a really good job of documenting the drives and everything, and I kind of use that as my notes. But it's interesting because depending on when somebody might have checked in on social media yesterday, there were a lot of people that thought it went really poorly for the offense because early in practice, C.J. Stroud had gotten frustrated here. He'd thrown an interception there. If you had checked in at a different time, you see that C.J. Stroud was like 75% completion, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. It was a brilliant day for the offense. That's the trouble with these joint practices or any scrimmage at all where there's no score kept. If you want to, you can look at it through any lens that you want to look at. I did see some very promising things out of the offense in terms of pass protection. Still a work in progress with the offensive line in terms of the run. I guess I'll say all 11 because all 11 people are involved in the run game. But the run game didn't look as good as the pass game. But I think for what's the raw nerve for all of us? The pass protection.
Oh, for sure.
The run game's related to the pass protection, but still, we just don't want to see CJ lose a kidney at this young age.
I'm just right.
I don't need CJ on dialysis to get ready for a
game. Age 24, yeah. Happy birthday, CJ. Here's your new dialysis machine. It's so funny you bring up the run game because one of the – I'm just thinking, you're right. You dip in on social media, and it's schizophrenic. It's either the worst practice ever or the best practice ever. And there was one video some fan took there that Nick Chubb looked like he had a little bit of wiggle, and then they kind of stopped, and then he just keeps going, and they're like, Nick Chubb going to have a big comeback season.
I thought I saw that Nick Chubb wasn't as explosive as he used to be.
Right.
But look at him here, running for a long distance, but clearly not as explosive as he used to be.
Right. Okay, so for the benefit of people who, A, are up at 6:04 a.m., and B, got all their opinions on the practice yesterday, all these divergent opinions on social media. What is the Seth C. Payne summary report card for joint practice? And
again, yes, and a lot of this was me looking at some of the people that I like, some of the fans that are in the stands, and I won't name any of them because I'll forget. If you follow my social media feed, I retweet these guys. I try to. You combine it all together, and we had a better view of the defense than the fans did. So, because the Texans defense was working on the middle field there, where the Texans offense was working closer to the fans.
And some of the fans had a better view of the offense
than
we did, because the players made a wall there.
Yeah.
It's hard.
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
So even the one Nico Collins touchdown, I got a really good shot because of somebody who it was the Texans video. But the pass protection was great.
Yep.
And there were times where the pass protection was really good.
I know the exact play you're talking about. I'm like, it gets to like 2 seconds with CJ back there. I'm like, something's going to happen. Yeah. Like, I've been so conditioned in this
Did he
camp.
get sacked?
I've been so conditioned in this camp for him not to be able to just stand back there and survey the field that you're right. It was really good on that play.
You know what I went to, too, is the Panthers. Not the most vicious of fan bases between the Panthers and the Texans. They're not out talking smack about the other team all over the place. So I thought it was some pretty even-handed analysis from the fans of both the Panthers and the Texans. Panthers fans, many of them were distraught that they couldn't get a pass rush going versus this offensive line, this Texans offensive line. So I like that. I like that. At the same time, I say, well, they had good pass protection. But it's that Panthers defensive line.
Yeah. It's a Friday. I choose to look glass half full.
Right. My 35,000-foot view of things. Will Anderson was very critical of the defense and himself because they made a lot of mistakes in terms of jumping off sides, penalties, some things that hurt them just from a let's clean this up standpoint. They allowed some big passes, though, too. Some of them were, I'll be honest, really nice throws by Bryce Young. Mm-hmm. Bryce Young... It was very much a reminder for me, when a 123-pound, 5'2" quarterback gets drafted, the Jim Cotta quarterback, gets drafted number 1 overall. There's a reason for it. He does. When he throws with anticipation, when he has time to throw, when he has
Ted McMillan,
the rookie to throw to, he made some beautiful. So some of the deep shots were contested.
Beat Stingley on deep shots.
Some of them. Well, but the Stingley one wasn't as contested,
right,
at least from what I could see. It was more just he had a good angle on it. There might have been a safe. That's the other one though too. Anytime if Stingley's getting beat on a crosser, there's a good chance that maybe a safety was supposed to be in support.
No doubt.
So without seeing the all 22, I know defense yesterday was some of those things where the deep shots or even some of the smaller completions, but where receivers or tight ends were wide open.
Yeah.
So that's where I start to worry. Was it a linebacker? Was it a safety? Mm-hmm. Safety's a very sensitive topic right now for the Texans. That's my one area of concern is that the defense is always going to make huge plays, but just like last year, they undid some of the great things they did with big plays allowed. All in all, though, I'm not concerned at all about the defense. I came away more impressed with Bryce Young than anything else. Now, if Bryce Young had to go through a whole game of tackle football, and he had the likes of Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson and so forth hitting him, that's where the size becomes an issue.
That is the thing. If I'm a Panthers fan, I'm feeling optimistic. Way more optimistic now than I did this time a year ago about Bryce Young. So more optimistic than I did in November last year about Bryce Young. He put together a nice last 6 weeks or so of the season. That's the problem, though, to your point. 5'2", 123, exaggeration alert. But the small quarterback, he can look awesome in training camp. It's always going to be lurking around the corner, that size thing. Like, it's always going to be. He can be amazing. He's never not going to be 5'9".
And including too. Look, size for a long time for height for quarterbacks was overrated in a lot of respects. It is still a factor, and shorter quarterbacks will tell you that. Tall quarterbacks are throwing blind a good percentage of the time. Shorter quarterbacks are throwing blind a lot. Yeah. I remember Brock Purdy's not even that short. He's maybe 6'1".
Yeah,
but he's had about 60% of the when he's throwing it.
Just looks so tiny out there.
So when you get into game situations and a pocket is, even if there's no sacks, but the pocket is compressed and collapsing, that's where it gets interesting. But I was impressed with Bryce Young yesterday. On the offensive side of the ball, I thought the Panthers defense, without J.C. Horn out there, did a good job of limiting the deep shots by the Texans. But that's what we saw last year. Teams are going to try to take away the deep ball. Can you take advantage of everything else in the shorter and intermediate game and then in the run game? I thought the Texans, C.J. Stroud in the ones, did a good job with the short passing game, with the intermediate passing game. If you don't get a deep ball, you don't get a deep ball. Sometimes that's the way it goes.
Yep.
But you also, if that's the game that teams are going to play, I want to see a run game. And I didn't – I keep inhaling I was listening to Will Anderson audio before we came on, and I think that's why I'm trying to keep pace with his.
Go at your own pace.
So, Sean, the run game, it is better in some regards in that you don't see as many unblocked penetrating defensive linemen into the backfield. At the same time, though, I didn't really see a dominant push all that often. And you combine that with the fact that I don't know what Nick Chubb is. I don't know if we really will know what Nick Chubb is until we see him playing tackle football.
Dameon Pierce isn't practicing.
Dameon Pierce is out there in slides and a backpack.
Yeah.
He looked like Bryce Young did last year when he showed up to camp with that big oversized backpack.
Yeah.
I thought Dameon Pierce was some college kid out observing or something.
Yeah. That's and Christian Harris too. Didn't practice yesterday.
So they really need Joe Miller better versus this Texans offensive line than he did last year. And he did pretty well last year, but a lot of it was self-made or self-created. I do think there have been some improvements, but you don't have a genuine tier 1 starter out there at running back right now.
Text message early on here. Seth, I know we aren't supposed to get too high off of anything we see at camp. Is there anything you are currently low on? Are you waiting for the game tomorrow to make any judgments on the bad? What was bad that you saw?
I feel like I went over the things that were bad, or at least that are still a concern, and a lot of them are the things that we've been talking about this all offseason. The defense, to be genuinely elite, needs to eliminate some of these deep shots and some of these big plays they're allowing in the run and the pass game, and we saw that bubble up a little bit yesterday. Offensively, the offensive line has been a huge talking point, but you got to include the tight ends and the running backs when it comes to pass protection or run blocking. You have to include the wide receivers as well. I think they've made improvements in the run game, but it's not there yet. part of that is I just want Joe Mixon out there. They've made a lot of improvement in the quick game, I think. So last year, the first 5 games, Bobby Slowick almost just seemed aghast that teams would play so much, too deep, take the top off the offense type of like conservative defense, and didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I think Nick Haley understands the assignment and wants to attack all areas of the field. I think they've shown progress there. I think that Woody Marks in pass protection has been kind of a revelation. For a rookie running back field at times, especially if he's a pass catching running back, is all right. If you got Woody Marks in the backfield and he doesn't know what he's doing in pass protection, then teams are going to they're going to blitz the heck out of you, and it lets them know a little bit more of what you can and cannot do. If you've got a running back there who's actually good in pass protection, then all right, is he going to stay in and block? Are they going to release him right away? It adds an extra wrinkle that makes it a lot more difficult for the defense. I'm optimistic about him. He's a smart rookie, I think.
The running backs in general had a good game doing that on Saturday against the Vikings. They were good. If that's just one little kind of under the radar wrinkle they shore up, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and I would say again with the offensive line, I turned and I said to Paul Gallant, and I wasn't joking, but he laughed because it's a funny joke, except I pathetically meant it, which is they had a meager run. They got like 2 yards, it's no tackle. Who knows? Maybe it would have been 3 or something. I said, yeah. I was like, well, it's 2nd and 8 instead of 2nd and 12.
Hell yeah.
That's something. Last year it would have been 2nd and 12.
That's a factual thing.
2nd and 12 or a caused fumble or something.
Yes.
So that, without playing full tackle football, et cetera, they're just a cleaner operation on offense.
Yep.
It's a cleaner operation on the offensive line than it was last year, and it's going to take some time to develop these things. But it's a work in progress still.
The good news is you have a defense that should allow you some time to get your sea legs early in the season if you're the offense.